All right, welcome back. Now let's continue this discussion. That's the legal side of things as regards the situation in Zamfara State and, of course, that of Rivers State. And now being joined on the program by Libros Oshoma, who is a legal practitioner as well as a political analyst. But he'll be talking more about the legal side of things. Libros, what is happening in Zamfara State? What exactly is your own take? I mean, the legal side of things now.
You see, the problem happening in Zamfara State.
We know what, for instance, INEC has said. The APC has come out with a statement saying that, that it still has until on the 18th to submit its list. So what exactly?
Yeah, if you look at it strictly from that point of view, you can't say that legally speaking. And then also going by the decision in Shinkafi against INEC or so, you can say that INEC has no power to bar any political party from feeding a candidate.
But there's
Section 31, Section 31 of the Electoral Act says that every political party shall submit its list of candidates at least 60 days before the election. And then Section 30 says that the Commission shall give notice 90 days before the election. But the Commission has given notice, before now, and then also gave a guideline that political parties must follow. And Section 87 also talks about conduct of primaries, that for you to fit candidates, you must conduct primaries. But, also the Supreme Court had ruled that INEC's duty is just to observe. But where
to observe the primaries.
Just to observe. And so that they cannot interfere in the affairs of the party, internal affairs of the party. But INEC is of the view that they are not interfering. All they are simply saying is that they have not complied with Section 87, that there was no primaries. And so since Section 87 says for you to feed candidate, you must conduct primaries. And so not having a conducted
But the
primaries,
APC is now arguing that there was actually, and we know, obviously, the primaries ended in a fiasco.
Exactly. So if the primaries ended in a fiasco, that means there was no primaries. And so that's where the big issue here now is that, recently we were just arguing about the right of APC to set guidelines, and these guidelines, must be read together with the Constitution and the Electoral Act by virtue of Section 153 of the Electoral Act. And so it is this same guideline that APC had set. Ordinarily, if you look at the sections of the Constitution, if you look at the provisions of the Electoral Act, you would be saying Section 30 and Section 31 would cover this issue. Section 30, 31, and 87. But as it stands, also you can't rule out the guideline that have been, created by INEC by virtue of the Supreme Court interpretation of James Faleke and INEC. But but it's a little bit confusing.
So against the backdrop, the court may have to step in here.
Yes, against the backdrop of the decision, the same court decision in Shinkafi's case. And so which says INEC does not have power, to disqualify any candidate on that note. And also the proviso to Section 31. But in all of this, INEC's position remained very sacrosanct. That, look, you did not comply with Section 87. And so not having complied with Section 87, can you feed candidates, when you have not conducted primaries? Even the party admitted that, there were primaries that ended in a deadlock. And then also that there were, also timeline. Primaries must have been concluded by the 7th.
The party chairman said that the party actually met and came up with a consensus candidate before.
The question is, that consensus candidate, is he agreeable to the governor, the state governor, and the party chairman? That's where the problem really is.
But is it up to INEC to decide that, whether it's agreeable?
The problem is, it is not INEC's position whether any candidate you feed, but that candidate so feed must emanate from a process called the party primaries.
Okay,
and so if, according to the provisions of Section 87, and so if that candidate has not emerged through that process, and you say, well, because the section talks about either direct or indirect. And so if you say, there was a primaries, and at the end of the day, there was crisis, ended the crisis, and then
we decided to get a consensus candidate.
We decided to get a consensus candidate.
Or consensus candidates.
Yes, that's fine. But and so also the party chairman should be advised to focus on the affairs of the party and how to resolve it. Because this referral to, PDP in Kano did the same thing.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
And in any case, do you see this case ending up in court?
Yes. Because I listened to INEC spokesperson Osaze insisting that indeed there was no primaries. And so if there was no primaries, that means the provisions of Section 87 are not be complied with.
So in that case, the APC may just have to go to court.
Yes, they will need to go to court to ask the court to intervene. And so it is the court that would say, well, INEC does not have the power to do what they have to do.
Now, what about the case of Rivers now, very quickly? What about the case of Rivers?
The case of Rivers is already in court.
Yep.
The case of Rivers is already in court.
It's been appealed against.
Yeah,
but based on the judgment of
the question is, does the State High Court have jurisdiction to hear a matter, an electoral matter that borders on, it's a federal government agency, and we all know it's an elementary principle of law that, for a matter, that has to do with electoral matters, and most especially, INEC, the court that has, unlimited jurisdiction to hear such matter. It's not the State High Court, it's the Federal High Court. And so, but the interesting part of it is that, like Lord Dennis said, no matter how, the judgment is, even though the judgment is given in error, it remains a court judgment until set aside by a superior court. And so you can't just fold your hand and say, well, the court doesn't have jurisdiction. It's not in you to say. It is for another court to say.
And that is why they've decided to appeal
the judgment.
But if you were to go by that judgment, we could safely say the APC would not be fielding candidates in any of the elections in Rivers State.
Yes, if you go by that judgment. But I doubt if they will allow that judgment to stand. They might just appeal and maybe relitigate the issues at the Court of Appeal and let's see. But I doubt if the Court of Appeal will sustain that judgment.
All right. Liberal Shoma, thank you very much for coming on the program and for giving us an insight into some of the legal issues involved here. Now, Governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari, has also been speaking on the situation in that state as regards the APC primaries. He and some other governors of the country now met with President Muhammadu Buhari over the week. And after that meeting, this is what the governor had to say about the primaries and the situation in that state.
We used our election of 3rd and the 4th of October, and all agencies, INEC, Civil Defense, Police, SSS are there, and they signed for us. And the report was written by the REC that election was conducted. And unfortunately, for the INEC to say there's no election, but we don't know where they get the information. But we believe they have a report direct from their representative there. The election has held in Zamfara State. So it depends on what they want to do. But in any way, we are advised, when the chairman of the committee came out and said there's no election in Zamfara, we learned that, we realized it's going to be a litigation issue. So we quickly rushed to court. We filed, and the case is coming up next week. So I think that's the only way, a saving grace for the party, a saving grace for the INEC, for court of competent jurisdiction to give judgment on Zamfara matter.
Well, it's quite a very difficult and testy times, if you ask me, especially for the APC in Zamfara State. We'll wait and see how this all plays out. But it's beginning to look very likely that this case might end up in court. Fingers crossed for now. That's it on the program. We thank you very much for watching. But if you want to watch it again, it's simple. Just go to our website, tv360nigeria.com. You'll find this program and lots more there. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/TV360Nigeria. Do subscribe now to get the latest videos and updates of happenings around the country. I'm talking about Nigeria now. You can also join us on Google+. It's at TV360Nigeria. Or like us on Facebook. The address is facebook.com/TV360online. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our handle is at TV360Nigeria. We thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again next week.